Before we hop into the video, we are doing a giveaway. We're giving away $1,000 worth of Amazon gift cards and an iPhone 11 Pro. To enter, make sure you leave a like on this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and comment down below something interesting that you found in the video. And to better your chances, come back to future videos that we release and do the same thing over there.
NBA stars make a living off embarrassing lesser players with their on-court skills, but sometimes they get caught on the receiving end. Whether it be a bad flop, a poster dunk, or getting their ankles broken, every league star has a moment or two they'd like to forget. Here are several NBA stars who got absolutely embarrassed on the court. Patrick Ewing. The Chicago Bulls-New York Knicks rivalry of the 90s is remembered as one of the most bitter rivalries in the history of sports. For NBA fans in the 90s, there was no better show than the trash-talking, in-your-face, defense and spectacular dunks between the two Eastern Conference teams every year in the playoffs. New York built a physical and aggressive team around Hall of Famer Patrick Ewing and sharpshooter John Starks that ground its opponents down, played dirty, and made plenty of enemies along the way. Their biggest enemies were, of course, Michael Jordan's Bulls, who dominated that decade with 6 titles and carried a huge target on their backs during the era. The Bulls and Knicks faced each other in the playoffs 5 times in the 90s, in 91, 92, 93, 94, and 96. But the Knicks were usually no match for Chicago's core of MJ, Scottie Pippen, and the legendary role players like Tony Kukoc. The Knicks knew they were the inferior team, so they compensated by fouling hard, talking trash, and epitomizing 90s basketball. In his interview for the Last Dance documentary about the 90s Bulls, Ewing said things were personal between the two teams. "We hated each other. It was extremely physical. It wasn't really a foul until you drew blood. The two teams outright hated each other, so it was pretty common to see them outright disrespect each other on the court. That disrespect showed through Game 6 of the 1994 Eastern Conference Semifinals when Scottie Pippen put down this nasty poster on Ewing. Not only did Scottie absolutely humiliate Ewing with this dunk, but he made things worse by stepping over him while Ewing was on the ground. Ewing shoved him off and the two had to be physically separated, at which point Scottie ran over to Spike Lee on the sidelines and told him to sit down. Awesome moments for Scottie, but not so much for Patrick Ewing. The Knicks would go on to beat the Bulls that series, but MJ would come back from retirement the following year and crush New York on the road in Chicago's 4th championship and 2nd three-peat of the decade. Paul Pierce. Boston Celtics legend Paul Pierce has had his fair share of embarrassing moments over his 19-year career. He might be known today for giving terrible takes on NBA superstars for ESPN, but there's a reason his teammates and opponents called him the truth back in his playing days. Pierce was a three-point artist during his prime with the Celtics and won 10 All-Star selections in addition to helping the C's get their first NBA title in almost 20 years in 2008. We all remember his infamous wheelchair gate moment in Game 1 of those finals against the Lakers, when he allegedly faked a serious leg injury to hide bathroom problems on the court and came back 2 minutes later to help win the game for the Celtics. But the truth also got shown up plenty of times on defense by other players' ball handling skills. In 2012 against the Orlando Magic, Jameer Nelson hit Pierce with his crossover that made the NBA champion buckle. Jameer missed the shot, but maybe that's because he was laughing so hard at Pierce getting folded like a lawn chair. Pierce got shown up so bad, Tracy McGrady convinced producers of The Jump on ESPN to show the video years later. The same year, Joe Johnson of the Brooklyn Nets gave Pierce the business with this crossover, causing him to hit the floor while he buried the shot. Blame it on age, but legend says Pierce signed with the Nets the next season to try and find that ball. Dwight Howard. Looking back on the career of former superstar Dwight Howard, few poster dunks are as hilarious as the time he got baptized by Kobe in his rookie season for the Magic. Dwight went into his rookie season in 2004 with plenty of hype behind him. After a star-studded high school career at Southwest Atlanta Christian Academy as the #1 high school player in the nation, Howard decided to skip college in favor of going first in the 2004 draft. Scouts and team executives saw unmatched potential in Howard due to his freakish athleticism, rare build, and defensive skill set. But on November 12th of that same year, Kobe showed the rookie Howard that he still had a lot to learn if he was going to slow him down. The Lakers were in Orlando that night and trailing the Magic 82-74 late in the 3rd quarter when Bryant came off a Lamar Odom screen and split 2 defenders on his way to the paint. Howard came over from the weak side and looked to be caught between contesting the dunk and attempting to take the charge. Howard told it like this in an interview for the NBA YouTube channel. "That's when I realized I was still a rookie. I tried to stand there. I thought he was just going to shoot a jump shot. He came down the lane and dunked it so hard, it was like BAM! And I don't remember hearing nothing else. That was like the first time I'd been dunked on in my whole life." Dwight's family, friends, and teammates poked fun at Dwight for the dunk the rest of the season, and sometimes the ridicule even came from fans. I could go to the mall and see a guy asking for an autograph, but he would have a shirt that would have a picture of me getting dunked on by Kobe. That's not a good feeling. Laker fans remember that dunk as one of the greatest dunks in Kobe's decorated career and the beginning of a long and complicated relationship between him and Dwight. James Harden. Houston Rockets superstar James Harden is usually the one showing up other NBA players with his arsenal of step-back jumpers and quick handles. Whether you love the way he plays the game or hate it, Harden is considered one of the most lethal of his generation and perhaps all time. That doesn't mean the beard doesn't act like a diva at times, especially in the locker room and on the court when calls don't go his way. As a player known for milking the NBA contact rules and drawing every foul he can, Harden tends to rub some players and fans the wrong way for the way he reacts when officials keep his flopping in check. Harden's temper came back to bite him in the game against the Pelicans on October of 2019. With just 3 seconds left on the clock, at the end of the second quarter, Harden pushed the ball up to the three-point line to get off a tie-breaking shot before halftime. Unfortunately for the Beard, Josh Hart was right there in front of him when he went to shoot the three, and officials didn't call any contact. Harden got visibly frustrated and slammed the ball into the court at the sound of the buzzer, but he didn't expect it to bounce right back up and hit him directly in the face. Josh Hart's reaction says an all-time great like LeBron James doesn't find himself on the receiving end of embarrassment too often. With unmatched athleticism and basketball IQ rarely seen in a player, LeBron has made his living off outplaying opponents to win 4 titles and cementing his status as arguably the best player of all time. That doesn't mean he hasn't been shown up a time or two. In 2018, a rookie, Jason Tatum, showed the world that even LeBron isn't safe from getting posterized in the paint during Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals that year. Tatum made waves worldwide in the fourth quarter of a close game when he caught the ball at the point, split 2 Cavs defenders, and threw down a one-handed jam over LeBron to put the game within 2 points. The Cavs would eventually take the game and the series, but the world knew Tatum was for real after putting the king of the NBA in his place. After the game, he told reporters that he had to get LeBron back after 2 big shots he hit over him in Cleveland earlier in the series. Let's hope we get to see plenty of big moments from Tatum for years to come. Dikembe Mutombo. Hall of Fame player Dikembe Mutombo was a defensive force during his 18-year career in the NBA. Standing at 7 feet 2 inches, Dikembe was a defensive terror during his days with the Nuggets and Hawks in the 90s. Fans remember him for his signature finger wave following every block shot, which he did often. In 2007, while playing for the Rockets, Dikembe passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the second most blocked shots in league history behind Hakeem Olajuwon, and wrapped up his legendary career 2 years later. But in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference semifinals, a guy with the initials MJ gave him a taste of his own medicine. Flashback to the All-Star game of that year, all the Eastern Conference players were hanging out in the locker room at Gund Arena in Cleveland when Dikembe thought it'd be a good idea to let Jordan know that his airness had never dunked on him. Not once in his first 6 years as a defensive powerhouse in the league. Knowing MJ's competitive nature, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year should have known that it would come back to bite him. Fast forward a few months to Game 5 of the Eastern Semis in Chicago, when history was made. The Hawks were down 3-1 to the Bulls, but still hoped to claw their way back into the series. The Bulls would later dash their hopes of an upset, but not before MJ caught a baseline pass from Luke Longley and threw it down right in Dikembe's face. The ensuing finger wave MJ gave Dikembe would go down as one of the most disrespectful moments between 2 superstars in the history of the league. Kevin Durant. KD is another player who usually does the posterizing, but in December of 2017, he got absolutely embarrassed not 1, not 2, but 3 times by role players in a road game against the Lakers. The first one happened with 4 minutes left in the first quarter when Julius Randle caught the ball around the free throw line on the break and went at the rim with a full head of steam. KD was no match for Randle and his momentum. Then a few minutes later, Jordan Clarkson took the ball all the way up court and made KD look helpless as he threw down a one-handed jam in his face. But the real poster came from Larry Nance Jr. Nance took a bounce pass near the wing, accelerated, and threw down one of the nastiest dunks of the year over the former MVP and 10-time All-Star. The Laker bench went absolutely insane. Since this was the 2017-2018 Lakers, though they still lost the game by 2, and none of these 3 players would go on to be part of the 2020 squad that won the ring with LeBron in the bubble. Final thoughts. Every NBA star has been on the receiving end of humiliating plays due to the sheer amount of talent in the league. Some of these plays went on to be some of the most viewed highlights in the history of the game, and we can't wait to see more in the coming years. For more content like this, stay tuned and subscribe to UpNext Sports on YouTube.